Hey, what's up? Let's get that webcam on. And hello! Evening, everyone. Depending on where you are, might be middle of the day if you're joining from the US. So today is going to be a continuation on the last stream, which was pre-recorded and live, or sort of premiered on YouTube. Since I wasn't able to do it actually live, I was on a road trip. Basically, we're modifying SharpShares, which is one of my favorite C# tools. Basically, a tool that effectively and easily enumerates shares across the network. It's super heavily multi-threaded, so it's really quick. Definitely not the good morning. Hey, what's up? Definitely not the stealthiest of tools, but for internal penetration tests or in general, it's awesome. The one caveat that it did have is that it was totally dependent on being ran from existing domain joined session, which is great. But in a lot of scenarios, I'm either connecting, I'm on the network and I have a machine, or I'm tunneling my network traffic to a machine onto the network, and that machine that I'm sort of executing tools from is not domain joined, and that can cause some issues. So there's a couple of ways to get around it. You could use pass the hash with Mimikatz, which we've talked about before. You can do run asnet only, which we talked about before. But neither of these really resolves the resolving issues for the host names that you get from LDAP, and you might not want to put that DC as your main refer. So basically, just allowing SharpShares to take external credentials as arguments, so you can run it in specific. You don't have to run it in the main join session, basically. So let me just switch over to my VM here. So last time we got pretty far. We actually added the input arguments you need. So we added the username, the password, and the DC argument. The domain name is taken from the username, so it has to be declared in the front of it, fully qualified. And then we added those to the argument parsing, and then we added this little snippet here, which basically says that if we have the argument username and password, then we're going to create a new network credential, and we're going to pass that network credential object over to the search LDAP and search OU functions, which is from the original SharpShares. And then we're going to use that credential object to sort of decide if we want to use it or not. If we want to use it, then why is this before null? Okay. If we basically teared up Rubeus and we pulled out this stuff right here, or this function right here, which is called get LDAP search route, which Rubeus uses to sort of determine how it's going to get the directory entry, depending on if you have a credential object or if you only have or if you don't have credentials, and it has to be sort of session based. So we use that. That's an awesome little thing that we stripped straight out of Rubeus. And then we sort of made this work, basically. So we made it work with credentials. And if you don't supply credentials, it will still use the session, but if you do supply credentials, then it will not use the session. And this is great. So basically, in the current state, we successfully get all the host names of machines with shares or possible shares from the LDAP. So right now, I only have my domain controller. But the issue is that within this get all shares function, it goes to each computer and then it enumerates the shares. It tries to do this with the actual host name, and we might not be able to resolve that. So we're not going to be able to get the IP for that machine, and we're certainly not going to be able to enumerate which directories or files we can reach if we can't reach the machine. So the first thing we're going to implement is something, well, it's basically just looking up the host name towards the dedicated domain DNS server, which is going to be the domain controller. So in SharpShares, or sorry, in .NET Core, there's something called DNS client, which you can install, which I already have installed. I sort of cheated a bit and prepared for this this stream. So what we're going to do is that once we get into get all shares, once we get into, we might want to do it here actually. So this is a list of computer names. So we might want to either do it inside here. Let's do it inside here. So we get a computer name. We want to take that computer name, we want to turn it into IP. So I found this great reference on Stack Overflow. I'm gonna pull that up just so it doesn't, so I don't steal stuff. I don't like to steal. Well, I love to steal stuff, but you give credit when you steal stuff. So I found this on Stack Overflow, just bringing this up here, like that. Basically, how to specify DNS server in .NET, and this guy shows an example using DNS client, where basically he specifies a new IP endpoint, specifies a name server. In this case, he just uses the Google DNS server, which I think is 888, 8888, or 8844. And then he says, you know, this is a new endpoint, creating a lookup client. Then he looks up a host name through that lookup client. So this is exactly what we want to do. Just gonna copy paste that in, and then I'm gonna give reference. So stolen from, and I think I have to do something here. What are you complaining? Damn! Oh god damn! That was a big ass bug. What? Die! Where the fuck did that come from? Jesus! Scared the living shit out of me. God damn it! Sorry about that. Okay, so not sure. Yeah, it complains because we don't got this, so we gotta create a new IP address. So I think there's IPv4 or something, IP parse maybe. Yeah, parse takes a string. That string would then be the domain controller. So that's going to be the argument domain controller. Then I think it needs a port as well. Standard DNS port is 53. And there we go. We got a new endpoint. And we're just going to move that into explicit. And then we're going to move that into explicit. And then based on that lookup, we're going to try to look up the host name. That would be the computer. And then we're going to get a host entry back. And then we're going to basically override the computer with the result of the host entry, which is going to be IP address list, and then just the first IP address. And that's going to be a string then. If I don't have to cast it. Yeah, I have to cast it. And that's going to be the first IP address that comes up when you try to resolve that host. So that should work fine. Obviously, I should probably test this in a larger network with multiple domain controllers and name servers and stuff to make sure, but this should be fine. So we basically resolved the computer name, and since we replaced the original computer input string, this will basically fix a lot of the resolving issues. Because in this case, you know, usually it would use the host name, but now it's using the IP since we overrode it. So that's awesome. Then you might wanna think, okay, so this was added in the last stream. This impersonation run as user using a NuGet that I believe is called Simple Impersonate or something. Yeah, Simple Impersonation basically allows you to take a set of credentials, which I give it here. So I give it the username and the domain username and password from the arguments. I create a new credentials object, user credentials object, and then I use the simple impersonation function called impersonate run as user. I give it a set of credentials, and then I specify the logon type new credentials. So my understanding of this is that the new credentials is not going to change. New credentials works because it's not going to change the actual context of the program running. It's just going to authenticate with these credentials when it hits the endpoint. So this is why this is going to fail. This is going to show as the local user because because the credentials authenticate on the receiving end and not in this context. So when I try to get the current user SID, that's going to be the local user. So another thing that we have to implement is that we have to query LDAP for the user SID of the user we have credentials for. Basically. And the way we do that is that we use LDAP. So the best way I found so far is just to basically look up that user in LDAP and then pull I think it's just called the object ID, or if it's called the SID account ID or something from the LDAP query, or from the LDAP query, and just use that. So we got to make a new function here. I'm gonna pull that in LDAP. I'm gonna make a new function called get account SID. It's going to return something called the security identifier, which is basically the object, basically the SID object in C#. It's going to make it easier to parse in a bit. Probably want to public static, that's fine. And then basically we're going to... Where the fuck does these bugs come from? What is happening here? Well, there's still some more bugs here. That's not great. Anyhow, do I have a window open or something? God damn it. Yeah, anyhow. So, yeah, we're returning the secret identifiers. We're going to steal some stuff from LDAP. So basically, we're going to steal this stuff, which basically just does an LDAP query for us. So we're going to steal that. And then we're going to make some modifications. So this ain't there. We're going to remove that. That try catch ain't there no more. We're going to remove that. This. Going to remove that. Basically, we don't only want the for each. So it, based on if we have credentials or not, it creates a new object. And then it looks for a filter, which is the LDAP query, or that's basically how we're going to get the information that we want. So again, I found this great article or great post on Stack Overflow, which I'm going to show you guys, and I'm also going to give credit for and show you. Basically, programming today is Stack Overflow. That is my current impression. Very, very few instances where I have to dig through something really manually. Yeah, so this is basically an example of how to do it, but what we're looking for here is the object SID. That's the account SID in LDAP. So we're going to get the object SID, and we're going to get the, we're going to get the display name. Should probably get the SAM account name or whatever. So what we're doing is that we're creating a new directory entry. Let's make that explicit. We're creating a new directory searcher. To that searcher, we say that we want to look for these two properties. That's what we want returned. We set a size and a page limit, and then we set a filter. The filter is basically going to be the LDAP query that we're sending, describing what we want in return, or filtering the results, right? So the filter is actually pulled from LDAPper. So I can actually show you this. So if I go to LDAPper GitHub, LDAPper is a Python tool that allows you to query LDAP, and I'm not going to say stealthy because it's probably not stealthy, but it's way better than, having to run Bloodhound. This is a bit better. So they have some custom searches, which include get specific user, 1.1. So if we go into the source code here, we can see that they have a bunch of LDAP queries listed. So we're going to steal the one looking for a specific user. So I think it's this one, get a specific user. Basically, we're going to steal this query. We're going to smack it in here, and we're going to make some modifications to it. So yeah, I include that, move that. Let's allow it to include variables. And there we go. Basically, we want the username to be in here. That's what we want to look up. So let's get the username. We can get that from the cred file. Or we can get it from arguments. Arguments isn't here, so we have to get it from the cred file. The username in the cred file contains the domain, so we have to split it. So I'm going to split it on slashes, and then take the last element, or the second element, the first, if you start at 0, but the last, because there's a domain / user. So I'm going to call that string clean username. And then that's the username we're going to look up, right? Because we're looking for the SID. I'm going to explain why we need the SID later, but we're basically looking for the SID of the account that we are acting as. So we're using the credentials that we gave that the user gives SharpShares. We're creating a LDAP query that says, we want to look for an object class user with this CN name and this SAM account name. Or I think that's an or, right? Yeah, not an expert at LDAP queries, so. Let's just remove this. And then basically the first thing that should pop up here should only be one. And then we want the object SID. So object SID. So we can stop there, and let's stop that. And then we have to call this at some point, right? I'm just gonna return 0 for now. So we have to call this sometime, somewhere. And I think the best option is to call it one time during the setup phase. That could be a nice test as well to make sure that you got the right credentials and stuff. So I think we're going to... Or should we do it in here? There's no point of doing it every time we enumerate a share. So I mean, either here or earlier. Let's do it earlier. So let's do it here. That's going to be utilities. LDAP get account sid. It's going to need, we can probably remove some, so we can remove these two. Only needs the DC and the cred. So the DC is going to be arguments DC, cred is going to be cred. Arguments DC, argument DC. And that's going to be the user sid. I'm gonna put this in there. We have to create that. So what was it called again? It returns security identifier. Security identifier. Yep. There we go. Which is going to be user sid. And then that user sid needs to be included here. Oops. And then basically we can check that if this user sid, oh, we have to do this somehow. Okay. Huh. I think actually we might want to do this outside that for loop to decide if that for loop should be in the run as user context. Yeah, we're gonna do that. So, gonna leave this, gonna pull out all this. I'm going down here, I'm gonna remove this. Gonna go back at the program, back into get all shares. Basically going to do all that, or decide if we should do or that or not here. So at this point we should check if basically if user sid is null, then we're running get all shares in the context of the current session and not with credentials. And if we do that, we don't want to do this impersonation. So basically if this is 0, then we want to do it the old-fashioned way. If it's not 0, we want to do it our way. And our way, I mean inside this impersonation thing, and we want to resolve all the host names. That makes sense. So this can basically be ran in the beginning. This thread list of actions can be ran in the beginning. Don't need 2 of that, basically. And then, yeah, so here is called arguments. Just gotta replace that. So basically here we gotta resolve all the IPs. Hey, what's up? Welcome, dude. So this is a list of computer host names. So we can do it in I guess 2 ways. So 2 ways would be to do, say, computer IP list equals new string of computer IP lists, which is just an empty string, and then we can do for each computer name. We want to do this basically. Oops. There should be an add, right? I can add to an array. Don't need to be a list to do that. Append? Yeah, I think that should be fine. Appends a value to the end of the sequence. Yeah, that should be fine. And then basically computer name and where's computers? There we go. So if we do have credentials, we basically create a new, I talked about this earlier, but create a new DNS client IP endpoint. So we can look up each computer name towards a dedicated domain controller and get the IP, append that to a list. Then basically we create what's called the user credential, which we can use in simple impersonation to impersonate that user on the network side. And then we basically enumerate the shares. And the reason enum shares needs that user SID is because it uses that SID to determine whether or not you can read or write to certain objects. So by taking user SID, and then we can do check if user SID, is not 0. Or sorry, if user SID is 0, this should actually be a string, just to make it easier to override it. If user SID is string is null or empty, then basically we want to do what's listed below here. So if the user SID is null empty, we won't do that. If else, that user SID should contain the ID we pulled from LDAP earlier. So instead of giving this an object now, we have to give it the actual user SID, which we should enumerate at this point. This is why we did this. So basically in that LDAP we have this, get account SID. No, string. There we go. Nice. And then back here, user SID equals get account string. And now, since this is, we can just do value returns the account domain security for this represented. So I think actually we should just do this. Let's try account domain SID first. Not sure. We'll see. That should just be a string probably. No, that's a security identifier. The value for that. Oh, sure. There we go. All is solved. Oops. And then in this get all enum shares, now that user SID is a string, we should do string is null or empty basically. Just gonna answer this, give me a second. Okay, sorry. Right. So the get all shares, I should do the thread list one, but I'm gonna do it manually just for now. I think this could be at the end as well, can't it? Right? Because this actually triggers it. Yeah, so I talked about that initially, but yeah, so I'm still working on the SharpShares project from the previous stream, hopefully, or definitely finishing that up today, so we can move into some exciting AC stuff. So basically, you guys probably saw that Harmjoy and a couple of others from Spectrops released the introduction to a huge bit of research resolving, you know, how certificate authorities in Active Directories can be heavily abused to basically get domain admin on the domain. And I haven't had the time or brain capacity yet to go through. Yeah, so I need to read that blog as well and really put my head to it. Yeah, I started sort of the same field, so I definitely at least have to get through the blog, and I want to set up a lab and try to experiment with it. So I'm ready for the release. I know Carlos has already made tons of progress on it internally, so I'm really looking forward to playing with that. But yeah, I just haven't had the basically I haven't had the brain capacity yet to do it. So I need to put up some time to that. So this get computer shares should really work now. So yeah, I made this change as well earlier. Let's see. Let's start to debug this. Let's start to debug. So we're parsing the arguments, and then we're basically checking if we have a username, which we have, and we have a password, which we have. And then we try to query that user SID. So we get a null reference because cred is null. So we need to give it the cred first for this to work. Oh, yeah, now I skipped it. But yeah, basically, so that creates a network credential. I don't think this checks anything. It basically creates like just an object to use within network credential. And then we do a get LDAP search route, which creates a new directory entry. We create a searcher based on that. We tell the searcher that we want to pull out object SID and display name. We pull out the clean username from that domain username combination. We set our filter, which should now look for demo user. And then we, what's the mix and max, whatever. We look for objects. And then we basically try to pull that object SID out. And that object SID, this is interesting. So that object SID is just going to be system byte. So now to be able to do this, we need to create it as a security identifier. So the first thing is that we're going to remove this two-string opera crap, and then we're going to cast it into a byte array, and then we're going to put that into a new security identifier. Oops. Cannot convert byte to string, that's fine. I don't know why I want the first element in the properties object SID. Yeah, I do want that. Security identifier expects a string. That's not correct. Yeah, it needs a 0 because there should be an override. Yeah. So within the new security identifier, there's an override for byte and offset. Put the offset to 0. Put that byte array in, then you basically got your security identifier. Sec ID. Now, obviously, we want to return this. So, I guess we could do... I mean, just in case there's more, then we take the last one. Shouldn't be, but, you know, either way. Then we basically return that security ID, which is... I can't recall the exact details of it, but it's, yeah, it looks like this. The first part, I think, defines privileges and stuff. So either way, we get our user SID. And then we move on and we say, is it LDAP? Yeah, it's LDAP. We go into LDAP. We've basically been through this, but it's going to search using those credentials. It's going to find some objects. It's going to find that domain controller. That's all it's going to find because we're only looking for DCs. Then we're going to put that into hosts, and then comes our new stuff. So at this point, it takes in the hosts file, which it needs to check if the user SID is empty. It's not empty, which means that we want to use that SID, or which means that we have queried the LDAP with specific credentials to get a SID, which means we should use our new method, which start off by basically declaring the domain controller as a name server, as a DNS server. And then it goes through each of those and tries to get the IPs for that. And it does get the IP for that, or it should have. Why didn't it not do that? Okay, let's stop and do that one more time. Pretty sure. Oh, yeah. So, no. It should be the fully qualified one, right? Let's see. I thought it returned the fully qualified one. Maybe it didn't. No, it did. Yeah, so it should definitely resolve. So if I go into IP address list, and then the first element, maybe the append isn't working. I can make this a list. Doesn't need to be a... just need to be an array if that's somehow an issue. Let's try that again. Just gonna unbreak point a lot of stuff here, since I know that's already working. So got the correct host entry, and there we go. So the IP is in that list. Okay, so I made a mistake. I need it to loop through each computer IPs instead of computers. then it gets to the get enum share one. So let's jump into that and see what happens here. So if anybody just recently joined, I'm working on part 2 of extending SharpShares by basically adding stealing functionality from Rubeus. Hey, welcome, man. So yeah, the introduction for this is basically I'm following up on last week's stream where I started to mainly look into SharpShares, which is a favorite C# tool of mine, and extending it by allowing it to take credentials as input, so I don't have to be in a specific Windows session to run stuff. SharpShares basically enumerate the shares on the network, and if I'm not on a domain joined machine, that's hard. So I wanted to give it the possibility to receive credentials. So since user SID was not empty, it's not going to try to get the SID from the current session, which is what we want. Then it's going to try to enumerate some shares, and basically let's see if this works. So yeah, so it found a share, which means it resolves. And now it tries to get files from it. Was unable to get any files from it. Was unable to, yeah, got some rules for access. Awesome, this is great. So this is a weird one. So it's comparing this user SID to the identity reference rule, and this ain't gonna match. But I can change that so we can see if you do get right. But it's definitely going to get read. And there we go, basically. And that should be it. So I'm just gonna add a breakpoint at the end here so I can actually catch the output. Let's go one line back. There we go. So it enumerated shares on a machine that is not domain joined using credentials I gave it as arguments. Awesome. Okay. So now, so it definitely, so the R stands for read, which indicates that at least SharpShares thinks it can read that directory, and obviously it can since we can see it. But I want to see what happens if I try to make that directory writable by this user. So I'm going to jump over to the DC here. I'm going to jump into that folder, which I think is just on C. It's not. I was pretty sure it was on C. But I mean, it's not then, since I can't see it. Hmm. Um. Weird. Gonna have to check that. So probably there's a command notes. AMD 64. What's the local path for this? Let's see. View locally shared shares CMD. Ah, it's only net share. Should have known. Oh, okay. Lol. It's because of my exchange. That's funny. So that's actually, let's say I make a new folder here. That's called writable. Oh, damn, I can't type. I roll my own VMs. So I actually bought a server, like an old, it wasn't a NAS server because it didn't have that many bays, so it was probably just, a normal processing server, like a rack server, like a year back. But it was too old. I got it for real cheap, but it was just too old and slow to be able to run VMs on. So currently, I just run VMs off my main workstation. I got the latest Ryzen processor, and I got a proper GPU and everything, so that works fine. So I have a lab running like right now, and then I have snapshots for like different sort of scenarios. So I have a couple of snapshots. If I want to play with like Microsoft Advanced Threat Protection, I have a snapshot I can jump into that has that installed and linked to, you know, AD and everything. So let's go properties here and let's do sharing, share, and then let's share it for demo user. He can read and write. Let's see if that changes anything. So it didn't catch up on that. So I can write here, right? I cannot because what? Hmm. I know. I just gave myself permissions, didn't I? There we go. Now it's writable. Let's see if SharpShares picked that up. It did not pick it up as writable. Okay, so let's jump into this enumeration stuff here and let's see why. So I'm guessing it's this SID compare stuff. I have a feeling I should only compare the beginning. Actually, let's take a look at this SID and see what this looks like. So because that's from the original functionality, just want to see what it looks like. Okay, what's wrong? What? Tell me what is wrong, please. So it gets the identity object and then it tries to get the user SID. Yeah, it's the same size, so that's weird. Hmm. So the share name is address. It doesn't have read for that. It gets all the rules from it. It's just 5. So it does look like... Okay, so it says that this specific SID has read and execute. Right, and that SID is probably not mine. I'm just guessing. My SID is currently... oh, okay, so it's a different format. Why doesn't it end with 2? Could be because it's a computer account name. Okay, let's move on because I know I don't have access to this. So I'm just gonna... So admins, I know I don't have access to that. C. Okay, writable. So it gets the rules from writable, has 5 rules. Allow, full control. So full control ends with 268521. My SID is 685. Okay, so why does it have that dash 21 at the end? So 160590685. 16059600685. So this is the same SID, but for some reason it's missing the dash 500. Okay, so I could just add that dash 500. That would... It looks pretty static to me. Yeah, okay. That's just... Heck, why not, right? Let's just see what that does. I have a feeling this just might straight up solve it. Yeah, writable. Lol. Okay, well that worked. I just gotta look up what if it works. It works. I agree. So I just gotta look up what that dash 500 is. Windows SID dash 500 security identifiers. Ah. Okay. Okay. But I think the better way to do this is either just split or just check if it contains. So let's do contains. So if this identity string reference contains the user SID, I think we're good then. And this should work for none as well. See. My god, I fucking hate. That's actually just so it pauses at the end. So annoying. Dude, what are you? Yeah, so that works. That totally works. Awesome. Let's try it without credentials. It's probably going to fail really bad. Let's just remove the username and password. And then even the DC and just see. So obviously it should fail. I just want to see where. Okay, so why does my domain user show up as a local admin then? Is it because it has local admin to that share? Is it full control goes as local admin in terms of SIDs? So that's gonna fail pretty spectacularly. So we have to get around this. I thought this had an implementation for when this is 0. Object not. Oh, so the cred. Oh, so it's missing domain. But why is that an issue? Okay, so it needs to get the current domain then. Because I don't think that is an argument. No, it's not. So it needs to get the current one. Just gonna look up the original SharpShares or the semi-original, because this is it's 2 SharpShares. So this is the original one, and this is the one I'm working from. So just gotta check this. Oops, utils LDAP should be a way to get the. So he just did a new directory entry. I thought that should be fine. Okay, so I could do this, right? That should be fine then. Because then at least it will pause it, and then that function will just create new directory entry. Let's see. Yeah, and now it will just, since everything's 0, it will basically just create a new directory object, and that's going to be fine. Or it's not going to be, because we aren't in the domain, so it's going to fail. But who cares? Okay, so let's try this. Let's just remove this right here. Or let's just comment it out for now. And I'm going to run this in a net only session and see if it works. Or I can just run it straight off the DC. Actually, let's just do that. That's gonna be easier. Oh fuck, now I have to add the foodie thing. Just gonna add it, run it straight off the DC here. If Defender is Defender virus and threat protection, I should have that disabled, right? Yeah, it's disabled. So I see no reason for SharpShares to get deleted, but you know, you never know. SharpShares, oh come on. Oh my god. What is happening here, DC? Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Come on, copy as path. There we go. Why does this have English? Okay. Oh my god. Couldn't load file over the DNS client. Yeah, it was missing some dependencies. That's fine. Let's do foodie or what the fuck it's called, so I can do it in one binary. I think it's called. I never. I think it's foodie, or is it foodie? I always mess those two up. Basically, foodie just pulls out all your dependencies in DLLs and puts it into the binary. Basically, what everybody uses to make sure that inline execution in, say, Cobalt Strike works. Works pretty well. Pretty good. Tempting to gather dependencies. Foodie, 100%. Both if I recall correctly, both Kustra and EL merge require some sort of Excel config or something to be set up. Foodie just does everything for you. Freaking amazing. So I think I have to go into release and then rebuild solution, and then if I go into the release folder, there should be no DLLs. Nope, only SharpShares. Awesome. Yeah, I also recall at least the beginning and the ending of that. It's a bit weird though. Might be some weird stuff. Basically, I mean, if the SID is within the SID, I don't care if it ends with whatever. SID is a SID, right? Let's just copy that out. So this shouldn't have those local DLS dependencies. There we go. Enumerating. What? Nothing? That ain't great. So why is that? So it found both hosts. So it's failing to enumerate the shares. So I fucked up the logic there. So I can comment out this. I can comment out this. So it does it multi-threaded. And then, but then I don't know why this doesn't work. So if user state is null or empty, then it goes to each computer, adds it to the task list and does this. And I can remove this. I mean, I think I'm actually better off running this in a net-only session. Oh my god, why am I drunk, people? So this won't work now because I can't resolve the domains. So I have to point my computer to the DC, I think, for that to work. Because then I should be able to NS lookup legit corp. Yep. Let's try that again. Oh, bollocks. If I can remember the password, if I can get into that folder again. Ah. Okay, that works. Oops. Well, that works. Great. So I'm guessing the reason it didn't work straight on the DC because the DC has issues with its own DNS server, probably. I'm not a great sysadmin, so I probably didn't set it up right. But this, hey, that's a note. So this, shouldn't this technically have right on absolutely everything since it's the global administrator user? It totally should. So that's not great. What if I give it the administrator credentials? Yeah, there's some funky business with this read-write check. It definitely can enumerate the shares, but it's still but it definitely still has an issue. Determining if you have read or write, because now I'm using domain administrator credentials, so I definitely have access to write. Let's take a look at that. So in the original one, it did this at the end. And the reason that won't work for me is because I don't have that identity object. It checks, Okay, so I mean, so it's group based and user based. Okay, so right now, okay, I get it. So the reason it detects write on that folder is because I'm explicitly given that user write access to the folder. Usually it's based on groups, so I need to be able to recognize specific users having access to folders as well as specific groups having access to folders. And the only way I can think of doing that right now would be to do it like he suggested, which would be to get the group IDs for specific accounts. Fuck. Okay, let's do that then. And lab query get groups. Container name is get user container name. What the fuck is get user container name? Well, this is basically the query. And then he did some weird formatting stuff. Okay. I guess we have to do that as well. So not only do we have to freaking get the user... Where do I do that? I think I do it here. Get the user credential. I also have to get the user's users group as a fuck. User member of SIDS. Yeah, utilities LDAP. Get user group memberships. Sure, why not? Oops. Well, it's really the only way I can think of, right? Because LDAP is the only thing that sits on that information. Unless I could get the Windows identity, if I could like create, impersonate the Windows identity, but I don't think I can do that. If anybody has any input on that, that'd be great. Would probably make me feel super stupid, but that'd be great. So basically here I need to return a bunch of strings, basically a bunch of SIDs. User group SIDs. I don't need this. What's up, Franca? Welcome. So this is the query I want to send. So this is basically my searcher filter. It's supposed to be this. And then... Do I need this? Pretty sure I don't need that. No, so I need... Let me go back to LDAPper again. See if LDAPper has a specific query for this. Groups. Get all groups and their members. Okay. Huh. LDAP filter get groups based on user. Please just don't tell me I have to get all the groups. There we go. This is one. You need the full DN of the user. I can get that. What the fuck is this? Use the following filter. I can try that, but why not just use this? Let's just try this one. So I need the full... Yeah, so SharpShares is a C# application that allows you to enumerate shares on the network by first querying LDAP for hosts and then basically looking up those hosts and trying to find accessible shares based on the user context. And I'm trying to make it, well, I'm almost done implementing it so that you can use credentials instead of having to have it run in the context of a user. I'm getting there at least. So let me just take the same inputs as this one. And then just to be sure, let's do this. And then I basically want the full UI. So this last part should be fine, really. I can just rip that from here somewhere. That's going to be easy to fix. So that's going to be this part, I think. DC and now I need the OU and your name. Your OU, your name. Can't I just get this, the full DN from a user? LDAP full DN user property. I think I can just get that when getting the user. Can't I? That's just the DN, right? So LDAP properties. LDAP user properties. Attribute list. Attributes is what I'm looking for. Yeah. I'm basically looking. Okay, so this is CN. I want the DN. The DN. Hey, DN. So is she just called DN then? Because then I can just get it from here. I can just do whoop DN and I got it. And then I can return both the security identifier and the DN, and that would be amazing. So let's do that then. String security identifier. Uh, Damn, I can't type. What is going on? There we go. Jesus. Okay, so theoretically this should work. Because this get account SID function should now return me the full DN, which I can then just throw right into get group memberships, like this DN, and then that DN will return me a bunch of object SIDs, which should be the group SIDs, which I can add. Okay, let's see if this magic works. Let's go, baby. Yeah, so I still need to solve this, but that's fine. So I can do like a list of strings containing group IDs, which I'm a part of, and then check if that list contains an identity reference, value, toString. I don't think I need that toString. Awesome. Then it's going to complain about that. That's fine. Then I'm going to need that list again. JSOS string group IDs. No, it's supposed to be after. No. There we go. And then this just makes sure that, you know, if this is empty, it just overwrites it with identity groups. And then just selects that value out of it. Awesome. Okay, I'm getting somewhere here. I have a feeling this will work. I have a good feeling, guys. Awesome. Okay, so everything's set. Just need to get that group ID back into it. That's going to be user membership SIDs. Awesome. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Whoop, whoop. So that DN object SID is... Oh, can I just use the path maybe? No, no. Properties, C properties, display name, object SID, and ADS path. I'm looking for the DN. Okay. Hey, great. Good luck with that fiber install. Fiber is love. Yeah, I have fiber myself. It's awesome. Okay, so I need to find that proper. Maybe it's just typed this way. I have a feeling that's just how it is. Let's see. No, no, there's no property called that. Oh, the path ain't DN. It's not that far from it though, by the looks of it. This you're just gonna find out what that property is properly called. It's just called distinguished name. God damn it. Let's try again. There we go. Distinguished name. Basically the same as AD path, but whatever. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then I can use that data to get the user SID. That's awesome. Then I can use that data to hopefully... Oh no, I still need that thing that I've moved. So, okay. Let's go back here and see, where is that? Where is that? Oh, I hope I didn't exit it. This is what happened. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see if that works. It did not. Hmm. We're always been at that phase. we never exited that phase ever. Oh, maybe I'm missing sub 3. That could actually be a thing. That could actually be a fair thing. Okay, so that search scope thing needs to be my search. So I actually did that wrong. Correct. My searcher. Search scope. Search scope. Sub 3. Then actually this might not have been that bad. I'm just trying to understand what the fuck container name is. Get user container name. What is that? Okay, straight back to where I was. Returns the container name of the given user. What the fuck is a get container name? Hmm. Well, this is probably some UID defining a group or something. That's fine. I would assume this CN is sort of the... This should just be the DN. In my mind. In my simple mind. So I'm gonna try that. I'm guessing the search sub 3 is what we're missing. I'm taking a wild guess. Okay, so it gets CN, that's wrong. That filter looks way better. Let's see if we get any results. Oh, we got a result! Oh my god, we got a result, boys. Great, so we got, hopefully we, no. So that's Seki there. Okay, okay. But that's fine. Object reference, why is that not set? I mean, okay, so it's just value then, right? Hey, fucking awesome. That's great. I'm happy now. Worked. Freaking worked, boys. I got a group ID. I got a group ID. I got a group ID. Fuck yeah, let's go. Okay. So this should work now. It gets all the shares. Resolves them. Fuck yeah! Whoop whoop! Works, boys! Goddamn fucking works! Oh! Goddamn fucking works! I wanna claim first attempt, but it definitely wasn't first attempt. Where's this coming from? Freaking work! Oh, okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So it works in that context. Does it now work if I go back to release? Oops! Oh, I did something. If I go back to release and recompile it, will it work if I run it from a net-only session as well? SharpShares, LDAP, DC, and I just got to remove the arguments and recompile. So this is without me giving it credentials. Only read. But why? But why? Could be something to do with net-only though. Her. Damn, this music is... I'm vibing to this music, man. It's great. You guys probably can't hear it, but it's pretty loud for me. Okay, so that's an issue. And why is that? So let's go into this function. It does this, right? And it gets these group IDs, and then I basically tell it to overwrite those. Cat jam. Overwrite those group IDs. Sometimes I find myself doing that, and I don't have an issue doing that, but I do like having something in the background. It isn't like strictly necessary or something though. I just enjoy it sometimes. Why do I keep exiting this poor CMD session? I want it. Oh my god. So it does get the correct group IDs and everything. This should hit. I don't know why this doesn't hit. Why doesn't it check for these as well? Hmm. So my session ID is this. And then I can clearly see that one of these groups IDs is basically my session ID, so I should have direct access. Identity reference value. These should match. Hmm. Hmm. I'm thinking maybe I should cut off that last one at this point. From the user SID. Let's see what happens if I do that. Still nothing. Oh, but now it should, because now it doesn't get the last one. So now this should definitely trigger. This here should trigger. Because the user SID now is in identity reference. No, I haven't directly referenced it, so it isn't. But these should trigger. This is so weird. So what is it? What is... Debugging 101, make console comments. You didn't hear it from me. This totally contains it. Look at this. What? This totally contains it. Why doesn't he check for all these? That's not a stupid suggestion at all, though. Why not check it at this point? Yeah, true, fair point. Huh. This is so weird because it says, you know, it says that in my group IDs I have S1515, S1511, and then the real ID S1511 comes up, but it claims I doesn't have right. I'm administrator. I have right to absolutely freaking everything. Weird. I mean, since I have access to C, I have access to everything, but you should still say that I have access to writable. It's weird. What does the original say in under these circumstances, though? SharpShares GitHub. That's interesting to check, actually. So this is the original, and then this is the one I based it off. So let's see what this one does. God damn it, Edge, I want to keep it. I know if my files are safe or not. I don't need you to tell me this. So it... No, okay, so it only says read to everything. So technically mine is still better. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, bless. So, yeah, I think I'm happy with this. I mean, there's no reason for you to run it in a net-only session if you can just give it credentials anyhow, right? That doesn't make any sense. So, and when you give it credentials, it 100% works. So I'm just going to uncomment these. I'm gonna leave create file. The create file flag is fine. And then I'm just going to check it with credentials again. Make sure that still works. And then I'm just gonna push this basically. Yeah, works. Write and read. Awesome, 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 awesome. So let's remove this. Let's remove this. Let's go into here, remove those silly comments I made, which would be inside here. So this, and then remove this. Awesome. Yeah, I think we're ready. So I'm just gonna check my GitHub page here, and then we're gonna push this. So because I do think I already have a fork of this, so I have to remove that fork or push it into that fork. So let's delete this SharpShare. How do you delete that? Delete this repository. Yep. I'm just doing some stuff off screen here while I finish up. So the next stream I'm gonna try. It sort of depends if I get the opportunity to sort of really read through that blog post from Hardjoy. There's just so much, so just getting through it itself is gonna be, you know, it's gonna be something for the brain. And if I do get through that, I might talk more about it. I might try to show you guys how to set up a lab. Obviously, I don't know how to do that myself yet, so sort of calling it a bit early maybe. But yeah, it would definitely be cool to show off how you set up a lab. So when they release this stuff, it's ready to go. So this is the original one. I'm gonna fork that. Why do I get SharpShares 1? I don't have a SharpShares repo. Your repositories. SharpShares. I do. Fuck. Yeah, they haven't. They have only. Well, they must have really been scared in terms of releasing this, because these, I mean, they only released the defensive stuff, and then I mean, they must have reason to believe that that a lot of this stuff is vulnerable everywhere. That's going to be like a new responder type deal or something. So I deleted both my repos now. So I'm going to re-clone the one I want, which is this one. I'm going to fork. And then I'm going to push this. So I can't. Okay, could not be completed. That's not, you know, great. There we go. And then basically going to, I guess just, okay, so this is what I'll do. I'll go to music, and then I'm gonna clone the my fork of the repo like this. I should have my keys in place here somewhere, and then I'll just basically do it like this. Just copy paste it over, replace everything in that repo. Yeah, I mean, it's still now I feel it's just goes so quick. I mean, so let's go SharpShares and just delete the binary ones, and then I think I don't have any credentials anywhere here, and then I'm just going to show off the help menu by just putting a breakpoint somewhere. So that'll be here, because I think the menu has changed. I didn't even get to the help menu because I didn't. Obviously, this definitely still needs some cleanup, for sure. For sure, still needs some cleanup. Oh my, I didn't do that. Nobody saw that. Didn't happen. I did not misclick. I have never done that before. I promise. Copy. There we go. So this is the new one. So I'm gonna update that README. So built upon This stream's subtitle could be misclicking with Flangvik. What? Oh yeah. On YouTube, yeah. Totally could be actually, when you say it like that. Yeah. I mistype a lot. Usually just because I try to hurry up beyond what I'm able to do, apparently, I guess. So let's just make an example here as well. So let's do username. Domain/user. DC. Password. Awesome. So that should be good. And then I guess we can just push it. Let's go. Oh no, I'm in music. Oh, come on. This should not take that long. Yeah. Git commit. And it's pushed people. So I'm gonna link that in the stream here. So if you wanna clean that up, I'm probably going to clean that up sometime off stream. Hopefully sometime off stream. Don't always end up doing that. I know myself that well, that I definitely don't always end up doing that. But that is the goal at least. Oh, that was great. Feels good to be done with that project. That was a solid 1.5 hours. No worries. Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. So, if you didn't catch part 1 of this series, this episode might not have made that much sense. You can go back on YouTube and see that. It's on my YouTube channel, basically YouTube/C/Flangvik. So I'll be uploading this video after the stream, of course. If you're watching this on YouTube, I stream every Sunday at 3 p.m. EST, which is 9 p.m. my time. I live in Norway, so if you're around here, then that's 9 p.m. It's always hacker developer related. As I said, next time, depending on how much time I've had to look into the new findings by Harmjoy and the crew at SpectreOps, I might show up have to set up set up a Windows Certificate Authority in terms of in the context of Active Directory. I haven't looked into that at all, so I won't make any promises at all. But that would be cool. So when these guys release everything at Black Hat in like 45 days or whatever, we can just start pounding those tools and take a look at what we can do. Might even attempt to recreate some stuff. We'll see how much time and how much effort I want to put into this. But yeah, thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow that. Would be really cool actually if we could try. I think we're only at like 298 subscribers right now. So if I could, me hitting 1,000 subscribers would be great. Thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate it. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye bye.